class. Welcome to Strategy of Missions and Leadership Development here at Mid-America Baptist Theological Seminary. My name is Dr. Zachary Sandiford, and I'll be your professor for this fall 2024 semester. And the purpose of this video is to go over the syllabus with you. But before we do that, I do want to show you the textbooks that you'll need, and also the book that you will find very handy when it comes to writing your research paper. So in regards to the textbooks, the first textbook that we have is Allen's Missionary Methods, St. Paul or Ours. I don't know, there's no dust jacket, this is just from the library, but it's not a very big or thick read. The book was published latest 1962, I believe, so it is an older one, but it's talking about Paul's missionary methods, so it's still a good, valuable book, and this will be one of your textbooks there. And then next will be Planning Strategies for World Evangelism by Dayton and Frazier. It looks like this, and this will be the second textbook that you'll need there. And then last is going to be, it's just a little book like this called Foundations. Again, not very thick. This is put out by the International Mission Board. It talks about the core strategies of missions. I mean, you can see it's not very a long read, lots of pictures and different things to read through. Now the thing is, you can contact IMB and get this in paper copy if you want, but I provide an online copy for you. The link is in the syllabus, and you can just basically put that in, and it'll be an online book. It's the exact same thing, and you can just go through the pages that way. Saves you money, saves you trouble to have to try to order that little book there. But that's called Foundations, and you'll need that also for the class. In regards to a very helpful guide for your research paper is a manual for writers by Kate Turabian. This is how you will be formatting your paper, and we call it Turabian format. And this is going to be how you structure your paper. You set it up. It's going to have a title page, table of contents, and all your citations will be in footnote format instead of like MLA in text. That's not Turabian. You have to put yours in footnote format, and so there's going to be different ways of footnoting that, and then also having your bibliography at the end of the paper. Okay, so this is very handy. If you don't have it, I would highly recommend you buying that. It'll just help you in your seminary career as you have to write many papers for your classes, and they'll all be by Turabian formatting. Okay, other than that, next we're going to be looking at the syllabus, and I'll be going down through that for you coming up. Okay, class, this is Strategy of Missions and Leadership Development, MS6332, and this is the video for the fall 2024 semester, and we're going to review the syllabus today. August 21st to December 11th, 2024 is the date range for the semester. You see my contact information there on the bottom left where it says Dr. Zachary Sandiford, that's me, and the address of the school, my cell number, and my email address. Most correspondence will be done through email. However, the cell phone can be used for texting. I have my cell on me all the time. If you need something answered or whatever, go ahead and text me. Make sure you say who you are in your text, because otherwise just your phone number comes up and I don't know who you are. So make sure that you identify yourself in the text, and that's no problem. Residential students, you will meet Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 1:30 to 2:20 p.m. In the classroom, and then online is a minimum login at 3 times per week, and I have it set up that there's 3 sessions a week, so there's no problem with just taking a session every day, and your attendance is then fine. Course description: this course is a study of distinctive strategies for world evangelism. The instructor will emphasize application to current missions practices. Special attention will be given to the historical development of mission strategies and leadership development. We now move into the course objectives. There's 4 of them here. This is what you should be able to do after the course is over. You can look at that on your own. Instructor availability, again, email or text is a good way to communicate. Disclaimer is that I have the right to change the syllabus or class schedule as necessary, and the only reason that would happen is if class got canceled for some reason and I need to maybe put 2 lessons together or something to that effect. Inclement weather is basically residential students that if there's ice or snow, that the school closes. We follow Shelby County Schools, pay attention to the news, the websites, and usually it'll say Mid-America on the actual website that we closed, but just pay attention, and we follow Shelby County Schools. All right, required textbooks. There's 3 books that you will need right here, and these 3 are Roland Allen's Missionary Methods, St. Paul's or Ours, Foundations, which is an IMB publication, and then Edward Dayton and David Frazier's Planning Strategies for World Evangelism. Those are the 3 books that you'll need. Now, number 2 there, Foundations, that one you can get in print from the IMB, and we have a couple copies here at the school, actual physical copies. Website right here, if you put this in your browser, it should take you right to an electronic copy of the book, and you can just click through the pages as you read. It's not a very difficult read. All students are required to read the assignments, and there's going to be a schedule coming up down below on your course schedule, and the reading is going to be on that. The reading grade is 10% of your final. There's a book interaction form. All students will complete book interaction forms for each of the 2 textbooks assigned, so not the Foundations book, just the 2 textbooks. You'll read the books, obviously, throughout the semester, and then you'll give a thoughtful interaction and knowledge of the book, and that's 10% of the final grade. You have a research paper that you need to write. This is basically the assignment. The student will write a research paper on a topic below or an approved topic related to mission strategy. So if you read through this list and you don't find anything that jumps out at you, maybe you have something else in mind, just talk with me and we can get it all set. So we have mission strategy in the early church, 100 to 500 AD. The Celtic Church's missionary strategy, so that's dealing with like Ireland and evangelism there. Medieval Roman Catholic missions from 500 to 1000 AD. Medieval Roman Catholic missions from 1000 to 1517 AD. Then we have the Moravians' mission strategy. We have William Carey, Hudson Taylor, Samuel Wimmer. They have different mission strategies. The indigenous strategy of Henry Venn, Rufus Anderson, and John Nevius. We have Roland Allen's mission strategy, Donald McGavran, and the church growth movement. So we're definitely moving up closer to our time now. Kenneth Strahan and the saturation evangelism. The unreached people strategy, church planting movement strategies. Evangelizing oral learners, the back to Jerusalem strategy, and then radical contextualization, or what's called the C5 strategy. So these are going to be areas that you can look into and focus in. Maybe William Carey's mission strategy might be a little more condensed and easier than something that might be in medieval. But I really like the medieval time, and you can focus in on a medieval missional strategy or something, and you can go from there. It just depends on what you're interested in. And again, if there's something on here that's not jumping out at you, you can have another topic, but it needs to be approved. The topic, thesis statement, and paper outline and tentative sources will be submitted on the dates below. The master student must also include title page, table of contents, and bibliography per Mid-America Turabian guidelines. And the paper is 25% of your final grade. Next, we have the research paper sources. You'll need 15 sources for your paper. 8 must be print books, and then 3 other sources there of the 15 are journal articles. You have to have journal articles. The rest can be website sources or whatever, but make sure there's no Wikipedia, no blogs, and no personal websites. So don't use any of that stuff, like missiontodayblog.com, or don't use anything like that, or bobthemissionary.com, and it's some kind of a personal website. Don't use any of that stuff. It needs to be credible sources. Citation of the research paper. This is very important. You're going to be doing Turabian format, Turabian 9th edition, and that's a book that I showed you earlier in this video. And then make sure it's properly cited, it's properly footnoted, the spacing is correct. Each source should be footnoted at least once. Okay, so don't have a bunch of sources in your bibliography and you never use them in the paper. Make sure your sources are used. Every direct quote needs to be cited, and then obviously do not plagiarize. Make sure you're giving the author of the book, the quotes, even just the idea of the paragraph, wherever you got that from, and make sure you're citing that. Grammarly is a requirement. You need to run your paper through Grammarly. Let's talk about Grammarly and some other writing requirements. First off, the paper is 15 pages minimum, but please no longer than 17 pages. The 15th page must be complete text. There must be a bibliography of sources used in the paper, so that's going to be after your 15th page of complete text. The reason that I cap it at 17 is that the more I have a lot of students, and the more papers that I read, and if they're longer than the required length minimum, then it's more that I have to grade and read. And that's not a problem if it's just a page or two, such as up to 17. But if it's like 5, 6, 7 pages longer than the minimum, that gives me a lot of reading. Also, you need to be able to handle a topic and be able to wrap the paper up and finish up what you're saying within the parameters that are set. So let's say, for example, in the future you're writing a journal article, there's going to be parameters like no more than 1,500 words. And so you need to be able to have concise thoughts. So if you're getting to page 15 and it's like you still have like 5, 6 pages to write, then you need to start condensing things and editing to kind of shorten it up. Okay, all students will write the research paper using Times New Roman 12 font. It's going to be double spaced. The page number that you put in, make sure that is also Times New Roman because it automatically defaults to the Calibri. So make sure you do Times New Roman. Do not insert pictures or maps in the paper. If you absolutely have to have a map or a graph or something like that, put it in an appendix. Don't stick it in the body of the paper because that can be arbitrarily resized, and next thing you know, half the page is used up with a map or a graph. So if you absolutely have to have something, which is no problem, put it in an appendix. The paper will be submitted in Word format, not PDF. All papers need to be run through Grammarly, and the corrections made prior to submission. The instructor, me, I will run that through Grammarly also, and your Grammarly score will indicate if you did the correction. So if you get if I run it through and your Grammarly score is like a 72, there were not many corrections made, and there's probably like 200 corrections that still need to be made. But if you submit a paper that's like 95 or 96 for Grammarly, that means that you pretty much did do the corrections and you're good to go. Dates for this research paper, you see here, topic approval is September 12th. In class, you'll give it in to me. Online, you'll email me. Thesis outline and sources due are October 10th. In class, again, you're going to hand that to me on a piece of paper that you print out. Online, you'll email it to me. And then the research paper is due November 21st, 11:59 p.m. Central Time. That's my time here in Tennessee. And all students will email me their paper in a Word document, and please attach that document to the email. Please do not send some kind of a Google Doc link or something like that. A lot of times that messes up the formatting of the paper, especially with Turabian, because of the indentions and all of that. Okay, master student research paper presentation. Because you're a master student and you need to be able to speak in front of people and also present your research, this is a good opportunity to do that. You will present your paper to the class and explain the key points of their research. The presentation will be a minimum of 20 minutes and must include a PowerPoint presentation, also a one-page class handout. Presentations will be scheduled for the class period just prior to finals week. You'll see that below. And online students, there'll be more instructions for you in Canvas about submitting. Yours will be done in like a video format. You can either make a video like I am now going through your PowerPoint, or you can just record yourself on your phone and accompany the PowerPoint. And the video can be along with the PowerPoint just submitted to me, and I'll just watch that. But there will be a presentation of your paper, and that's 15%. Course examinations, you'll have 2 exams, a midterm and a final, that are 20% each, so for 40% of the grade. And so you see that's October 3rd, and then December 10th is the final. Online students, you must have an exam proctor, and these exams that are on the syllabus are for residential students. For the online students, there's going to be basically your exam open for the entire week, so that gives you time to be able to meet with your proctor and then take the exam. Late work, the only thing that could be late would be basically the paper, the book reviews, and the presentation. Make sure you get those things in on time. Otherwise, you get 5 points off per day to include weekends. So don't get to like Friday and it's like, well, Saturday and Sunday I can work on it with no penalty. No, I look at the date and the timestamp of the email for when it is submitted. You see the course grades there in scale. Reading 10%, the interaction forms 10%, research paper 25%, class presentation 15%, midterm and final 20% each, for a total of 100%. Here's your grading scale from the catalog. Class attendance. In class, you have 9 absences. 3 tardies equals 1 absence. Online students, you need to log in at least 3 times per week. The Witness 1.7 requirement, this is actually just changed. I had to submit this syllabus for approval, and while I submitted it and was waiting for approval, the school changed it, and it's basically called Practical Missions is what they've changed it to. You need to do that for your status as a student. You don't need to report anything to me. You don't need to do any kind of forums or any of that for me for this, as long as you are meeting the requirement of Practical Missions for the school and doing whatever Student Life Office requires of you. Class conduct, you could read through this. Basically have a Christ-like attitude, you'll be good to go. All right, class schedule. We have a couple of notes here just to look at. The class is broken into different parts. So part 1 is introduction, and we'll see the other parts below. But then over here is your reading for the week, and you have to follow this kind of little code. MM is missionary methods, F is foundations, and PS is planning strategies, and that's for your reading, your books that you have. So we see 8/20 is Founders Days. I'm not sure what this date is over here, so just ignore that. 8/21 is Introduction to Syllabus, which is this video, and you see you have Planning Strategies, Chapter 1. 8/22, Academic Writing Workshop, and then PS, Chapter 2. Now this Academic Writing Workshop, I'm going to talk with you. I'll make a video and talk with you about writing a paper and about Turabian and some of the common mistakes and how to fix things, how to cite things. And basically what I'll do is we'll look at a chapter of my dissertation, and you can see how things are done. Then we get to week 2, where we begin our actual teaching sessions. So session 1 is strategy defined, and then you see here you have planning strategy chapter 3, and then missionary methods chapter 1. And then we have session 2, strategy considered. Session 3, strategy evaluated. And you see your reading over here. Part 2, we start looking at the history of things, which begins week 3. Early church missions strategy, medieval mission strategy part 1, medieval mission strategy part 2. And then we go into week 4, session 7, early Protestant mission strategy, colonial mission strategy, 19th century missions strategy, and your research paper topic due. Notice here, week 4, there's no reading this week, so if you have to catch up, go and use that time to catch up. Then we have part 3, Foundations, which is week 5. We have session 10, Entry into the Field, session 11, Evangelism, session 12, Discipleship, and we start seeing Foundations over here is going to be entered into the reading, so pages 1 to 15. Foundations here, page 16 to 45. Again, Foundations is not long to read at all. We have week 6, church planting, leadership training, exit strategy, so the missionary leaving the field. Week 7, we have our midterm exam review, and then followed that is a library day. I built in a library day so you can prepare for your midterm, but also if you have to catch up on any reading, again, we're starting to build up quite a bit of reading here, a good number of chapters and pages to read. So if you have to catch up, you have a library day here. So really this week 7, there's not going to be any kind of really check-in or logging in because so don't worry about that for attendance. Because really the only time you have to log in for week 7 is going to be for your midterm exam, unless you're logging in to review a previous lecture or something. But other than that, don't worry about week number 7 in regards to attendance, because the midterm exam review, library day, and you're a master student, so you should be able to work independently on those during those times. Part 4, the missionary family. Okay, so we're going to look at life on the field, we're going to look at culture shock, we're looking at dealing with stress, and then research paper, thesis, outline, and tentative sources due on October 10th. That takes us into fall break, and then week 10, we actually finish up a section when we come back from fall break, just one lecture on prayer and spiritual warfare dealing with the missionary family. But then we start part 5, which is contemporary strategies. And we're going to be looking at religion and cults that might be in the field where a missionary is, language learning for the missionary, dealing with oral learners in week 11, partnerships, multicultural teams, week 12, looking at working with volunteers, we're looking at human needs, business as mission, so some of the more the business side of things, Week 13, looking at Bible translation work. Then we get to part 6, which is leadership development. And this is the final part for our class. Essentials of Leadership Part 1, Essentials of Leadership Part 2. And then we get to responsibilities and cost of leadership, delegating, reproducing, and replacing, and then perils of leadership. That takes us to where the research paper is due 11:59 on November 21st. Then we go into Thanksgiving break. When we come back from Thanksgiving break is the presentations. I have basically 2 class periods set aside for presentations, and that's going to be obviously for residential students, but for online students, it's going to be a time of where you're not really going to need to log in on week 16 because it's presentations that will be submitted to me, and then final exam review. Again, that's on you. There'll be a study guide provided and all of that. There'll be a study guide provided for the midterm and the final. And then the final exam is here week 15 at 1 p.m. in class. Again, the online students, you will have the week to meet up with your proctor to take the exam. We get to the selected bibliography. So this is a requirement for the syllabus that we provide a bibliography to help students with maybe finding books or sources for their research paper. And you can just kind of go down through this and look at some of these books if you need help with that. And then we get to our rubric for the paper. The rubric is the presentation of ideas, organization and flow, the style, MLA, and mechanics. And I grade each one of these sections. So if your thesis is clear, you're presenting well, your thought process is good, and it's able to be followed, and you're able to put your thoughts together well, you'll have a good score in presentation of ideas. Organization and flow, it's not stilted, it's not choppy, you're not all over the place. Your thoughts flow well. Transitions between ideas or between maybe points that are in your outline, then those sentences that bridge your points they flow well. Style is your use of words. You're not using kind of like street speech or some kind of a thing like hit the nail on the head, those kind of ideas. You don't want to use that kind of speech. You're writing at an academic level, so you want to use proper speech. MLA, which for you is going to be Turabian. You'll be citing everything in Turabian, so making sure that your footnotes are proper, the citations are good, your bibliography is set up right, you have proper spacing for some of your things with Turabian. And then also mechanics. That's where you have your spelling and punctuation and grammatical errors. If you have a lot of spelling errors or missing a lot of periods or commas or whatever it is, that's going to affect your mechanics score. And then what I do is I average those up, and that gives us a final grade. All right, this is your reading signature page. You don't need to worry about this. It's just a requirement for the syllabus, and I'll just have your reading grade that you submit to me at the end of the semester based on the instructions in Canvas. And then we have the syllabus signature page in class. They actually sign this and hand it to me. But for you online, all you have to do is right after this video, email me, and you can basically just say, I received the syllabus, and that email is your signature. Okay, other than that, I'll see you in a second. Okay, class, that is it for today. Next time, we are actually going to have an academic writing workshop before we get into the actual lectures. And again, this will help you with your writing your paper and then your paper presentation. And in regards to writing your paper, what I'll do is I'll take a chapter of my dissertation, and we'll just go down through one of the chapters of my dissertation and look at some of the common errors or things that you need to know in regards to formatting your paper. Okay, I'll see you then.